That wouldn't pass muster in the Roberts rules. Page 2. It's right above that.
It was.
All right, then you can just disregard my proposed edits.
Why?
Because
That include
yeah,
that.
we would need to include
You
that.
want me to say it? Want me to get to this?
I'll it's fine. It doesn't
Whatever
matter.
you want.
If you want to make the motion for the consent agenda, that way you can just do it right there.
I'll do that.
Yeah, a couple of bits that look a little. I'll try to
That error was on me.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock, and we will call this regular meeting of the Township Board of the Charter Township of Meridian to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Will those who are able please rise and join us for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on our agenda is roll call. Will Clerk Demas please call the roll?
Supervisor Hendrickson.
Here.
Clerk Demas here. Treasurer Burkhardt.
Here.
Trustee Lentz.
Here.
Trustee Sunland.
Here.
Trustee Trezise.
Here.
Trustee Wilson.
Here.
7 board members present.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is presentations. We do not have any presentations this evening. Don't worry, we'll have one for next time around. Next up is citizens address agenda items and non-agenda items. So there are several opportunities for public comment at tonight's meeting. Members of the public who wish to address our agenda or any item not on our agenda have an opportunity to do so at the beginning of the meeting as well as at the end of the meeting. We also today have 2 public hearings on the agenda, items 10A and 10B. So if you'd like to speak specifically to those, you may do so at that time. Those who wish to address the board must complete a green card, which you can find on the table near the door, and present the card to a member of our staff who will provide that to me. When it's your turn, I'll call up the next speaker to the podium to speak to the topics indicated. And while it's not required, it is helpful for the sake of our meeting minutes if you can provide your name and address for the record at the beginning of your remarks. Citizens are required to limit comments to 3 minutes. An automated system will keep track of the time, and an indicator light and beep will alert you when your time has expired. Members of the board do value public comment from our public. The meeting format and rules, however, do restrict board members from engaging in conversation with commenters or answering questions directly. Questions or concerns may be addressed by board members at a later time or followed up on by a member of the township staff. Please make sure to address all comments to the board and or the board's chair and not to individual board members or to others in attendance. With that said, we have 1 green card this evening. Fred Gasper, come on up. Right up there, yes, please.
Hi, my name's Fred Gasper. I'm at 6153 Foster Drive in Hazlet. The definition of fraud is taking money from somebody for a benefit and then you don't provide the benefit. That happened this spring with Tier 2 of the Lake Lansing Special Assessment District. I think I pretty clearly showed everybody through township assessor records that there was no special benefit for my property and some other properties adjacent to me. You had the chance to actually get back with the County Board of Commissioners and tell them you were wrong and they needed to move some things around, and you didn't do it. Just to remind you, the assessor told me, basically through their records, that my lot was worth $40,000 total. Also showed me that the lakefront properties were worth an additional $160,000 because the lake was there. And yet I got charged 50% of what they got charged. Additionally, my property on the other side of Marsh Road, property opposite me, opposite side of Marsh Road, that did not have access to the lake, was assessed exactly the same as mine, and you didn't do a damn thing. When this whole special assessment district got going, nobody talked to anybody on Tier 2. Your staff acted like the Lake Lansing Properties Owners Association spoke for me, and they never have. They have been adverse to backlot owners as long as anybody can remember. They screw you over when they can. Additionally, we had an attorney that you people hired, had a serious conflict of interest, even put together a letter saying she had a conflict of interest, but she'd like to work with the Lake Lansing Property Owners Association. And you know, if she had to put together a letter, she had a conflict and somebody else should look. I complained about the ethics, and what I got told is that attorney told me she was told staff that she was ethical and there wasn't a problem. I'm sorry. The one that said that was the person I complained about. Wrong, absolutely wrong. You people sided with the entitled, arrogant bullies of the Lake Lansing Property Owners Association. You stole from the poor and gave to the rich when you set that up. And I'm not happy.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Seeing none, public comment is closed at 6:05 PM. Our next item on the agenda is Township Manager Report. Manager Dempsey.
Yes, thank you Supervisor, and good evening, board members. I have several items this evening. The local road program continues its progress. The Hewlett Road project should be completing its curb and island pours here in the next few days, and then that'll be followed by road grading, and hopefully the first course of paving being completed by Tuesday of next week, just prior to school opening up on Wednesday. So that is weather dependent, of course. And then subsequent to that, the following weekend should be the final course of paving for the roadway as well. Again, all weather dependent. Paving has been completed along the Moki Trail and nearby areas, as well as the Seneca Road completed. Two, there is some restoration work in both of those areas that does need to be completed. And then the Shoals neighborhood should be commencing later this week. So progress continues. So looking forward to wrapping up all those projects. There will be a public information meeting on Monday, August 31st here at Town Hall regarding the Hazlitt Road proposed changes. So this is the project between Park Lake and Marsh Road, where road diet will be performed by the Ingham County Road Department, taking the roadway from 4 lanes to 3 with the addition of a center turn lane and bike lanes similar to what we saw on Mount Hope and some of our other roadways in recent years. That will be from 6 to 8 p.m., again on Monday, August 31st here in Town Hall. We encourage everybody that's interested in that project to please attend that informational meeting. The Meridian Township Police Department is hosting its second session in its community engagement series. That'll be a week from tonight on August 25th across the way here at the Public Safety Building at 6 to 8 p.m. We'll be on the topic of civilian response to active violence incidents, which is an unfortunate topic that we have to discuss, but an important one, unfortunately, in our society today. So again, that's next Tuesday, 6 to 8 p.m. And the final one is just a note for anyone that's hoping to do business here at the township. Our offices will be closing early on Friday for the employee recognition appreciation event. Again, that'll be this Friday, August 21st, closing early at noon. So encourage everybody to come before that if they're going to do business with us on Friday. So that's it, unless there's any questions for from the board.
Thank you very much. Board members, any questions? All right, seeing none, we move on. Next up is board members' reports of activities and announcements. Any board members with activities and announcements to report this evening? Clerk Demas.
Last week I attended the Land Preservation Advisory Board meeting, and right before this board meeting, I attended the Chippewa Middle School opening ceremony, although it didn't kick off yet, so I am still excited to tour the facility. And that's it.
Wonderful. Trustee Wilson.
The Community Resource Commission, of which I am the board liaison, took $2,500 from Hazlet Okemos Kiwanis and $2,500 from Hazlet Okemos Rotary, and did a huge backpack project that they did yesterday morning here in Town Hall, and delivered all of those backpacks and supplies, because it isn't always backpacks, but supplies to teachers in both of our school districts. So I'm really happy to report that, and it's very good work that we do through Meridian Cares.
Thank you very much. Trustee Trezise.
Yes, this afternoon I attended the meeting of the Materials Management Commission for the county. We're in the process of putting together a materials management program under state law. It will be brought back to the board for review and approval sometime after the first of the year. It's a rather involved and long report, so I hope we'll have enough time to review it before they come here, and I'm hoping that they will make a presentation and explain in detail.
Wonderful. Thank you. Treasurer Burkhardt.
Last week I attended the Groundwater Management Board meeting, and this Thursday morning I will be at the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission office for an orientation on groundwater management. And just recently, one of my colleagues and I met with the Director of Communications to make changes to two sections of the website, the one on bill payment and tax and assessing. We updated some information, we got rid of redundant language, and I added some information which I hope will be of benefit to to our residents. If you have any questions, if you think that there's something missing, if you'd like additional information on some of the topics, please let me know, and we'd be happy to continue to make changes to the website to accommodate the interests and concerns of our residents. You can reach me at Burkhardt, that's B as in boy, URGHARDT at meridian.mi.us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other board members? All right. Seeing none, we move on to item 8, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda this evening? Trustee
Motion
Wilson.
to approve the agenda?
It's been moved by Trustee Wilson. Do we have a second? Support. Supported by Trustee Lentz. Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next up is item 9, our consent agenda. We do have a number of items on our consent agenda this evening, including communications with the Township Board, minutes from our July 28th listening session, and our August 6th regular Township Board meeting. The bills, an agreement with Microsoft, 2026 sanitary sewer rehabilitation contract award, MDNR grant agreement and resolution, setting a public hearing for the 4690 Okemos Road proposed brownfield redevelopment plan, and 2 agreements for a temporary connection, one to water and one to sewer for 4986 Powell Road. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda? Clerk Demas.
I'd like to make the motion, but before I do so, there were a couple errors to the the August 6th, 2026 regular Township Board meeting. On page 2, Trustee Wilson is there twice, and it should be Trustee Trezise and Trustee Wilson recognized how great Celebrate Meridian was. And then Trustee Sunland's name had a spelling error, so that needs to be corrected. I don't think there's any other errors, so with that being said, move to accept the consent agenda with the proposed edits to the August 6th board meeting minutes.
Okay, it's been moved by Clerk Demas,
Support.
supported by Trustee Trezise. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Clerk Demas, will you please call the roll?
Clerk Demas, yes. Treasurer Burkhardt?
Yes.
Trustee Lentz?
Yes.
Trustee Sunland?
Yes.
Trustee Trezise?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hendrickson?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. All right, next on our agenda is item 10A. Find that on my thing here. Sanctuary number 2, Public Streetlight Improvement Special Assessment District number 430. We have this up for public hearing. Deputy Manager Opsmer, would you like to give us a brief introduction for this and perhaps the next one too, just so we can get the table set, please?
Yes, good evening Supervisor Hendrickson and board members. So just to kind of recap both of these agenda items for the 2 streetlight SADs, the board has already authorized the construction and improvement and ongoing maintenance of the streetlights in question. So now it just becomes a matter of whether or not the assessment roll has been calculated appropriately. And as you can see on the assessment roll, all of the assessments are evenly distributed across the parcels, as is customary with any of our streetlight special assessment districts. The only thing that I would point out between the 2, Sanctuary number 2, the first hearing has 7 parcels and 4 LED streetlights that have been constructed within the neighborhood. So the assessments within Sanctuary 2 are twice that of the next hearing that you will hold, because there are 14 parcels within that SAD. And with that, I would let you hold the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So members of the public, this would be your opportunity to speak and in regard to Sanctuary number 2, Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District. We'll open the public hearing at 6:15 p.m. Any members of the public wishing to address the board on this topic specifically? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 6:15 p.m. Next up is item 10B, Sierra Ridge number 4, Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District number 431. This is for the public hearing is at this moment. So we will open the public hearing at 6:16 p.m., I suppose. Any members of the public wishing to address the board on Sierra Ridge number 4, Public Streetlight Improvement Special Assessment District, this would be your time. Seeing no members of the public wishing to address the board at this time, we'll close the public hearing at 6:16 p.m. Okay. Next, we find ourselves back once again for Sanctuary number 2, Public Streetlight Improvement Special Assessment District number 430. And now we find ourselves under action. Trustee Trezise.
I move to approve the Sanctuary number 2 Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District number 430, Resolution number 5, which adopts the special assessment roll, designate the project as Sanctuary number 2 Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District number 430, adopts the assessment roll as the Sanctuary number 2 Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District number 430. Special assessment roll adopts the district as Sanctuary number 2 Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District 430. Adopts the first year amount of $1,457.76, $208.25 per lot, and the cost annually thereafter will be $728.88, or $104.13 per lot, subject to annual increases for the assessment roll, and orders and directs the assessment roll to be paid and collected.
Support.
It's been moved by Trustee Trezise, supported by Trustee Wilson. Any discussion on the motion? Trustee Trezise.
This is common practice within the township. We do not provide street lighting services in subdivisions, and therefore to obtain street lighting from consumers, the cost is assessed against the affected lots in the district. And this is one of 5 resolutions with regard to this section. And we've gone through all 4 up to this, and so this is the final act.
Okay. Other discussion? If you're tuning in for the first time and wondering why there's not as much discussion, it's because we've seen and discussed this at probably 7 to 8 meetings before this year. And so I would be happy to refer you back, but I'll also concur that this is pretty standard practice for how we handle streetlights in Meridian Township and have for many, many years. And if you've got one in your neighborhood, you may be paying a special assessment and not even realize it. Many of us are. But with that, I'll be happy to support this. Any further discussion? Clerk Demus, will you please call the roll?
Treasurer Burkhart,
Yes.
Trustee Lentz,
Yes.
Trustee Sunland,
Yes.
Trustee Trezise,
Yes.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Clerk Demus, yes. Supervisor Hendrickson.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. Next is item 11B, Sierra Ridge number 4, Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District number 431. And we have Resolution 5 and a prepared motion, if someone would be so bold as to make it. Trustee Trezise.
We're getting practice at this. Move to approve the Sierra Ridge number 4 Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District number 431, Resolution number 5, which adopts the special assessment role, designates the project as Sierra Ridge number 4 Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District 431, adopts the assessment role as the Sierra Ridge number 4 Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District 431 Special Assessment Role, and adopts the district as the Sierra Ridge number 4 Public Street Lighting Improvement Special Assessment District 431, adopts the first year amount as $1,457.76, which amounts to $104.13 per lot, and the cost annually thereafter will be $728.88, or $52.06 per lot, subject to annual increases for the assessment roll, and orders and directs the assessment roll to be completed and collected.
Support.
It's been moved by Trustee Trezise, supported by Trustee Wilson. Any discussion on this? I'm so sorry. I was trying to, the numbers caught me a little bit because, oh, there are 14 parcels, you said.
Yes,
Seven.
that's
That's
why,
right.
yeah.
Because, yeah, it was like the same total amount. I got you. That's why you made that note the first place. I should have been paying a little more attention to that, apparently. All right, very good. Any discussion on the topic? Whatever we said before for the last one, we'll say again.
Lies here, yeah.
All right, seeing no further discussion, Clerk Demus, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Lentz,
Yes.
Trustee Sunland,
Yes.
Trustee Trezise,
Yes.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Clerk Demus, yes. Treasurer Burkhart,
Yes.
Supervisor Hendrickson.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. Next up is item 11C, ordinance 2026-08, Copper Creek East PRD Plan Residential Development Overlay for adoption. We have with us Director of Community Planning and Development, Tim Schmidt. Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So this is the last step in the first piece, the second piece technically, of the development of the vacant land to the east of the existing Copper Creek development. For purposes of internal organization, we're calling it Copper Creek East. Creative, I know. Previously, the Township Board, at the Planning Commission's recommendation, rezoned the property to RA, which was in compliance with the master plan. The developer then has opted to proceed under the PRD overlay for future development, and so this is the end of that process. That is technically also a rezoning. It's an overlay over the top of the RA. As we've noted previously, the Planning Commission has recommended approval of this. The Township Board reviewed this on July 21st and had no major concerns, and directed staff to introduce the ordinance for adoption at the August 6th meeting. And so this is the final step in the process. This is for about half, just under half of the overall vacant land. And then what will happen is, as Mayberry Homes develops each individual piece of it, they will come in for site plan review, which is administrative. And so we expect the first phase will come in shortly after this is approved, and so they can start getting lots ready to go. So be happy to answer any questions. I know the developer is here this evening as well, if you have any questions of him.
Okay. Board members, any motion to be made or discussion to be had on this agenda item? Trustee Wilson.
Move to adopt the resolution approving ordinance 2026-08 as an ordinance to rezone 350 Hazlet Road and the adjacent vacant property, parcel ID number 33-02-02-12-200-015 and 33-02-02-12-400-003 to be placed in the planned residential overlay designation over the existing RA zoning of the property.
It's been moved by trustee Wilson. Do we have a second?
Support.
Supported by trustee Trezise. Discussion on this?
It's the next logical step.
Yeah, I guess I'll say that, I know a number of folks who live in I guess what would now be considered the original Copper Creek. Copper Creek West, or Copper Creek 1 through 5, or however we're designating it at this point. It's a lovely development. The houses are excellent, and, we are about to take on, after this agenda item and the next one, our board goals, which Clerk Demas asked us to include, which I think we all agreed about, was to try to address housing in the township. Every time we've seen a housing development come in that's apartments, everyone says, well, why don't we build more single-family homes? And this is one of those opportunities that we have to make way for some additional single-family homes. Of course, we would like to see, affordable housing and workforce housing coming in. And this will likely not be that, based on the size of the lots and the properties. But supply and demand tells us that the more houses that we do have, it will eventually start to push that price point down a little bit. And I think that, the more we can do to, encourage folks to be coming to Meridian Township, the better off we'll be. So I'll be happy to support this next phase of the Copper Creek East plan and look forward to what's to come. Any other discussion? Clerk Demas, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Sunland.
Yes.
Trustee Trezise.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Clerk Demas, yes. Treasurer Burkhart.
Yes.
Trustee Lentz.
Yes.
Supervisor Hendrickson.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. Next up on our agenda is item 11D, Copper Creek East Plan Residential Development Sketch Plan.
Yeah,
Director
and so
Smith.
as I mentioned during our initial discussion of this, staff's reading of the ordinance believes that there should be two separate motions here. Under the PRD, the sketch plan is approved with the rezoning, but the rezoning is an act of rezoning which falls under one category in terms of process, whereas the sketch plan would be amended under a different process. And so that's why we have suggested having two motions here just for ease of future Tim and future Brian dealing with this if the need arises. And so the plan is the same that we've seen all along. This is the plan for the first sort of half, just under half again, of the proposed development, very consistent with the existing lots in Copper Creek, very similar layout in terms of size and shape, and we'll continue that development given that there is a stub from that development into this property. And so this would be the first, now the third step of the process. What will happen next is a sort of that first, I believe, 1 through 16 lots will come in for site plan review. Staff will get into the nuts and bolts and we'll hopefully get this thing under construction soon. Again, would recommend approval at this time, and the developer is here if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Board members, discussion, questions, or motions to be made? Trustee Wilson.
Move to adopt the resolution approving the sketch plan under the Planned Residential Development Ordinance, Section 86-378, parens G, for 65.38 acres of the Copper Creek East development in conjunction with Ordinance 2026-08.
It's been moved by trustee Wilson. Do we have a second? Support. Supported by trustee Lentz. Any discussion on the topic? All right. I think this one goes in conjunction with the previous motion. I'll be continuing to support that. Clerk Demas, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Trezise.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Clerk Demas, yes. Treasurer Burkhart.
Yes.
Trustee Lenz.
Yes.
Trustee Sunland.
Yes.
Supervisor Hendrickson.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is item 11E, 2027 Board Goals. Manager Dempsey is here to talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, good evening again. So at the last meeting, we reviewed the proposed changes to the board goals for 2027. I think everyone agreed that most of those changes were acceptable. I think the one proposed change was to the senior center, which we incorporated here to refer to and/or an alternative plan for operating the senior center in absence of actually developing a new senior center, just giving the potential timeline issues that we might run up against. So that change has been made. I think these are in complete form now for your consideration, if you'd like to go ahead and approve those this evening, but happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you very much. Board members, any questions or motions to be made here? Clerk Demas?
Manager Dempsey, I just appreciate you listening to the board and incorporating our edits. I think this looks pretty good, representing the township, so I'd be happy to make this motion. I move to approve the township board values in 2027 board goals.
It's been moved by Clerk Demas, supported by Trustee Sunland. Any discussion on this? I think we've set ourselves and the township a number of excellent goals as we sort of worked together to come to these, after refining based on what are currently our goals for 2026. So looking forward to seeing what that brings. I don't believe this needs a roll call, so all those in favor of the motion to approve the township board values and 2027 goals, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0. Next up is item 11F, ordinance 2026-09, 2020 M78, Sing rezoning from RR rural residential to RDD multifamily residential up to 5 dwelling units per acre. And we have Director Schmidt back with us again.
Yeah, and so this is a follow-on to our conversation at the August 6th meeting. The board at that time generally was not supportive of the request. Just a reminder, this is a request to rezone an acre on the north side of M78 from RR rural residential to RDD multifamily residential up to 5 dwelling units per acre. The planning commission did recommend denial, and the board has discussed this matter. What we've brought in front of you this evening is 2 options: one to deny the ordinance based on the conversation from the last meeting, and one to introduce the ordinance for future adoption. Staff would be happy to answer any questions, and I know the applicant is here and would like to speak to the board prior to a decision being made.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think it would be appropriate at this time before the board makes a motion to hear from the applicant. Mr. Singh, would you like to address the board at this time?
I got about 3 minutes worth of statement to make.
Please.
This is concerning the background on what happened to the permit issues that dated back to 2004. So I'm going to read out. So in June 2004, the Meridian Township Building Department issued a building permit number BB04-0425 to connect the 2 existing housing structures on the property via single breezeway structure, which consists of both a front facade connection and a rear connecting area. By September 2004, the front facade section was fully completed and successfully passed the inspection, resulting in an occupancy permit for that portion. At the time, I discussed my timeline for the rear connecting portion with the then building inspector, Chris Colligan. I requested an extension to complete the rear face at a later date. Inspector Colligan verbally agreed to accommodate that request. Tragically, shortly after agreement, Mr. Colligan passed away in a roadside auto accident before a formal written documentation of that extension was finalized. So in year 2008, I applied for and received building permit number PB 08-0230 to construct a new pole barn located behind the primary residence. During this project, I worked directly with Building Inspector Don Avon. While Inspector Avon was supervising the barn project, I informed him of the remaining rear portion of the breezeway construction originally authorized under the permit number PB 04-0425. Upon receiving verbal confirmation from the Inspector Avon that I could proceed to finalize the project as part of the ongoing work, so I hired a licensed Michigan building contractor to complete the rear breezeway connection in compliance with construction standards. Throughout this process, I have consistently sought the proper permits, engaged licensed contractors, and worked directly with the township building inspectors to ensure all work was authorized. The connection of the two structures was explicitly authorized under the permit number PB 04-0425. The delay in completing the rear portion was discussed with Inspector Colligan in 2004 and reaffirmed with Inspector Avon during the 2008 construction under permit number PB 08-0230. The all work was executed by a licensed contractor doing business in Michigan. Given these circumstances, recently indication that rear portion constitutes illegal construction do not reflect the extensive permit history or my consistent effort to coordinate with township officials. I respectfully ask the board consider this documented history, recognize the good faith action taken under the oversight of former township inspectors, and work with me to administratively regularize or sign off on the remaining paperwork or permit number PB 04-0425. So to resolve the non-conforming in connection with the building permit PB 04-0425 issued in June 2004, I'm requesting the board to grant me a retroactive or supplemental permit to cover the rear connection of breezeway by means of an official inspection by the township building inspector to ensure the as-built structure meets all the Michigan residential code. So that's my statement, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board members, any discussion at this time? Trustee Trezise.
I have a question for Mr. Schmidt. Given the history that Mr. Singh has provided tonight, does that change your discussion of this matter or impression of the non-conforming use issue and then?
No, I mean, I think from a pure zoning perspective, it's fairly clear that it does not meet it does not meet what the future land use map calls for. And so from a history aside, the pure zoning question would be a denial from our perspective.
Okay.
I can absolutely go into the history of the site. Suffice to say, the building inspector that died was not even employed with us at the time that he died. He had left at least a year earlier and was with the city of Mason at the time. Permit was closed out. There was no additional information. And then the 08 permit specifically stated that no changes are to be made without prior written authorization, which is a highly unusual condition for a building permit. So I think I would just simply rely on the fact that the zoning would not be in compliance with the master plan, and that's where staff's recommendation comes from on this.
Thank you.
Trustee Lentz.
Yeah, Apologies in advance. Director Schmidt, rehashing a couple questions I had a couple weeks ago. This, as the property exists now, if it were to become, excuse me, up to Meridian Rental Code readiness, it could operate as a rental home as a standalone single unit, correct?
It could be a single-family home for a family or two unrelated persons under our code.
Thank you, yes. So as it stands, a denial of, excuse me, any rezoning would not eliminate the owner's ability to, use their home as a single-family home in any capacity, renting or they themselves living in it as the owner. It is acceptable for someone to live in that building.
It's certainly still acceptable to utilize the property as a single-family home. We are obviously going to have some questions as to, how the garage turned into a house without permits. But
Yeah.
it is a single-family home. The property can be used and could be rented to two unrelated persons.
Thank you. I asked that because I had a feeling you were going to say so. And, as I mentioned, as someone who rents in the same area, I can commiserate with anyone wanting to expand on what they view as what should happen with their property. But as it stands, the future land use map is, I think, too much of a driving force here. This is not a street that I think will at any point see large rental properties, large rental developments that close to the road. And I think that's why the future land use map was established the way it is. And, with that in mind, and considering this is not a dismissal of the property owner's ability to rent the home out as a standalone property, I would be inclined to move the adoption for a denial of the ordinance. Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Other board members, any discussion? Clerk Demas.
I'll just add my comment. Thank you, Director Schmidt, for providing some context at the previous board meeting where I had questions about how this would impact the property owner. I think just because there's a number of reasons, but because it wasn't, because it was illegally modified, I think it makes more sense to move to adopt the motion or the resolution to deny this ordinance. And it doesn't seem like it will impact the property owner's ability to rent, as what Trustee Lenz and what you mentioned at the previous board meeting. So that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I'll add that, in considering this request, this is ultimately a zoning question, right? This is not, I appreciate the history of the backstory of the permitting that was going on with this property, but ultimately this is a question of, what the hoped for future land use is from a governance perspective from this board. Our governing documents indicate a different future use that we hope to see on this and its adjoining properties. And the parcel to the east, which is already RDD, is actually already in contradiction to what we had planned for that area as we set forth our master plan and our future land use map. I'd argue that we would be contributing to the problem by further rezoning in contradiction to that future land use map, which is why I'll be supporting the resolution to deny ordinance 2026-08 tonight. Trustee Lenz.
I'll make the motion. I move to adopt the resolution denying ordinance 2026-08, an ordinance to rezone 2020 M78, parcel ID number 33-02-04-226-016 to rezone the property from RR rural residential to RDD multiple family residential, up to 5 dwelling units per acre.
Thank you very much. It's been moved by trustee Lentz. Do we have a second? Treasurer Burkhart? Trustee Wilson?
I have a comment. I'm looking at the prior motion for Copper Creek East.
It's a typo. It should be ordinance 09 this time. I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, God.
Would
Go ahead.
the motion maker consider that a friendly
Would you
amendment?
please, yeah.
Yes, rather than repeating.
Yeah. Okay. Seeing no objection to the friendly amendment, we'll consider that adopted.
Who would be support of that?
It's a friendly
Okay,
amendment, so it's just
okay.
suggested, and I guess the Treasurer Burkhart as the seconder would have to agree as well.
I agree.
Okay, there we are. Okay, any further discussion on the motion? All right, once again, this is a motion to adopt the resolution denying ordinance 2026-08.
09.
I'm 2009. Thank you, everyone. Everyone's on our toes today. So I will just clarify that a yes vote on this vote would be a vote to deny ordinance 2026-09 to allow for the rezoning. So with that, Clerk Demas, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Clerk Demas, yes. Treasurer Burkhart,
Yes.
Trustee Lentz,
Yes.
Trustee Sunland,
Yes.
Trustee Trezise,
Yes.
Supervisor Hendrickson.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up on our agenda is item 11G, 2026 Cornell Road, White Oak Drive, Right Wind Drive, Fox Chase Sanitary Sewer Payback District. Deputy Manager Opsmer is here to talk to us about that.
Thank you, Supervisor Hendrickson. Good evening again, board members. Staff brought this payback district before you on December 16th, 2025. And at that time, the board chose to proceed and authorize staff to design, bid, and construct the project. We just recently completed construction on the 3-inch force main that serves these 15 parcels that are currently served by private septic systems. Just as a brief refresher on our conversation back in December, township staff were contacted in late November, right around Thanksgiving, by one of the property owners who informed us that their particular septic system was beginning to fail, and the housing stock in general within this neighborhood is beginning to reach that life cycle. So we brought forth this concept. Historically, we have done special assessment districts, and we've done gravity sewers. We did look at the cost of gravity sewers, which was going to be around 8 times the amount that you see this evening, 7 to 8 times. And additionally, assessment districts require you to pay prior to connecting. So there's 2 kind of hurdles that are often difficult to clear. And with costs the way that they are today, it would have been impossible to clear. So we're kind of pivoting and looking at payback districts as an alternative to special assessment districts for water and sanitary extension. This being, I believe, possibly the first one that wasn't related to a development. So we did complete the project. As you can see in the cover memorandum, a little bit under budget. So the payback district amounts that the property owners will have to pay is slightly less than what we initially estimated. And we have received at least two phone calls from 2 different property owners to date interested in connecting. So we kind of rushed to bring this forth this evening for your approval.
Okay, thank you very much. Board members, any discussion? Trustee Trezise.
Yeah, I'm curious about this language about, I understand that it's 11,666 a year, but in paragraph 3 of the resolution now that are under the resolutions, talks about the benefit charge is hereby established at $11,666 plus 5% interest annually in perpetuity. I don't think you're really asking these people to pay that money in perpetuity, are you? Until the cost is,
Until the cost is fully paid.
Well, what we mean by that is that the cost will increase each year on January 1st by 5%.
I understand that.
Compounding.
But it reads like they're gonna be paying $11,666 in perpetuity plus a 5% surcharge on an annual basis as compound.
Yep.
And I would think they might want that clarified.
Yep, not the intention. The intention would be that the
They pay off
payback
their
district
fees.
amount would be based on the year of connection, and it would follow this chart. It's clear that it would not cease to increase in 2041. That would continue to increase at a rate of 5% each year. So they don't pay in perpetuity.
I'm so sorry. Chief Hamel, I know why you did it, but would you mind opening one of those doors? I don't want people to think that this is a closed-door session. Sorry, go ahead, Deputy Manager.
More than happy to entertain a slight amendment by the board, and we can go back to that language.
The amendment would be something like, whatever the payback period is, what are you doing, 15 years to pay it back, or from the time it starts?
It's only 15.
So it's a one-time payment if you choose to
Pay the full
join.
amount.
You have to pay in full in order to connect. And then there's additional
Oh,
fees. They would
okay,
have
it's
to
a
pay
one-time
them.
fee.
Yep.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
Yep.
I thought you were splitting that over the time period.
Yep, very different than a special assessment district,
Okay.
right? Which would be some period of 5 to 20 years
Whatever the
with
repayment.
5% interest on the outstanding principal balance. Whereas here, it's just the lump sum amount of 11,666, but that amount will increase by 5% each year rounded to the whole dollar.
Then my whole discussion is immaterial. Thank you for your time.
Any other discussion or questions? Trustee Lentz.
Thank you. Director, Deputy Manager Opsimer, just to be clear, if someone chose to not participate in this system, they are not compelled in any way to do so. If they chose to, at the time that their septic system fails, if they want to replace it on their own, they are under no obligation to join the system. Is that accurate?
So that is not accurate if their septic system is failing. Because if you have access, meaning if you have a public sanitary main along your frontage, Eagle would determine that you have access, and the county health department would actually be the entity that would compel the connection, because you do have access to public sanitary. Essentially, in Michigan, if you have a public sanitary main along your frontage, when your private septic field fails, you would not be able to obtain a permit to replace it.
Okay, thank you.
So long as their system is working or could be repaired, if it's not a full replacement, they could repair their system depending on the extent of the repairs and keep it.
Fantastic. And did I hear you correctly that this is not something, to your knowledge, that we have attempted in Meridian Township? Is unlike special assessment districts or new builds, this is a new type of mechanism for payback of infrastructure?
So the tool has been there in the toolbox, meaning we've had the payback districts in the ordinance, and we have used it. We have payback districts, but I'm not aware of any where we've done it for property owners, right? Existing property owners of just single-family residential homes. What we've used it for in the past would be, for instance, Sierra Ridge, right? We had that streetlight SAD. Sierra Ridge is at the northeast corner of Newton and Lake Lansing. A lift station was constructed. When you drive by on Lake Lansing, you notice that there's some kind of pumping station behind the arborvitaes there. That lift station also serves Newton Point to the north. So there's a payback district there where the developer of Newton Point pays back Sierra Ridge, the developer of Sierra Ridge, for the equity in that lift station. So we've used it for development purposes, but I don't believe we've ever used it to extend water and sewer for, I guess, what you would consider just ordinary property owners with, principal residence exemptions, right? That's their permanent residence, and that's where they reside. So we've used it more for development purposes. And we're using it now for just ordinary property owners because the cost of special assessments, which you have to pay even before you connect, and the cost of gravity sewers has gotten so untenable. So this is kind of a new framework that we created to make it affordable to extend public water and sewer to folks, and something that we'll look to use more in the future when we have cases like this.
You are leading into what I was planning on asking next, which is, is this something that you imagine being a mechanism that we will use moving forward at all, in any serious capacity, like monetary? Okay, you're shaking yes. And
Yep.
so I guess my question is, if in perpetuity half of these individuals don't want to join this payback district for, let's say, 10 years, and when we're talking about this small section, it's not, a large issue, but if there are 10 or 20 of them around the township, are there any financial shortfalls that, I guess I'm asking, the funding for this project until the payback district is actually paid back? What is happening with the monetary side of things from the township's perspective? Because we know that there are other areas with old water and sewer.
Yep. So essentially, out of our $2.9 million construction budget on the sanitary sewer side, we took approximately $175,000 of that, so a small percentage, and invested it in this, and then we will recoup our cost plus 5% interest annually. So we don't know what our true recoup will be, but we do know that these systems are going to fail over the next 20 years. So I would be surprised if we haven't had all 15 properties connect over the next 15 to 20 years. So at that point, we will have recouped our cost, and the sewer fund, the enterprise fund, will have been made whole.
Okay, so that's the timeline that you're working on. Okay, thank you. That addresses my concern, considering what we talked about with the water and sewer rate study, that a lot of underground pipes on the mind right now. So, thank you.
And just to kind of give the board a little bit more context on assessment districts as an alternative, the last time we tried doing an assessment district for water or sanitary, it was the Sleepy Hollow neighborhood, which is on the south side of Lake Lansing Road, right by Newton. They wanted to extend sanitary, I believe, into the neighborhood. But I could be wrong. It could have been water. It was pre-pandemic. It was around 2017. And what happens with an assessment district is you start with a very high-level construction estimate, and it takes so long for the residents to gather petitions. You really need one property owner within the neighborhood to go and circulate petitions, because there's just usually going to be one person that kind of leads that effort. And by the time you get those and you go through the Public Act 188 process, which is what you just went through on the streetlights, by the time that all occurs, it's often a year to a year and a half later. The cost has gone up, so then you have to break the bad news, and eventually the cost increases before you can ever get to Resolution 5, cause people to withdraw their support, and it all falls apart. And so a lot of staff resource goes into kind of a losing effort for all intents and purposes in many cases. There's certainly exceptions to that, but with post-pandemic inflation, it gets even more difficult.
And just to sort of follow up on Trustee Lentz's question, so that the portion that hasn't yet been repaid hangs out on the township balance sheet as a liability or as a debt until such time as we recoup that?
Yes, essentially, we will just track our recouping of these fees in a spreadsheet
Sure.
and track the paybacks over time as folks connect.
And it is, I mean, the connections are all, like, the bulk of the cost has already been expended, right?
Yep.
And so theoretically, if people wait 15, 20 years to join, the township could end up actually making money on this? How does that work?
It
Plus
depends
the-
on
plus
how
the
you look
5%.
at, yeah, it depends on how you look at the assumption of 5%, right? I could argue, and I could obtain data that supports an argument that inflation in the construction industry at times exceeds 5%. And so one could argue that
Right,
perhaps
but
we're
the
not.
construction was done.
Yeah,
The construction's already been done.
yes, correct. So we've expended 100% of those funds.
Right.
And then we will recover them slowly over the next 10 to 20 years,
Yeah.
one
So
parcel at a time through
it's just,
connection.
it's the cost of us expending that ahead of time for you
Yep.
eventually needing it.
Yep.
Okay. Understood. Trustee Wilson,
Are we ready for a motion?
is there any further, well, you can make the motion and we can discuss afterward, that's fine.
Move to adopt the resolution to establish the 2026 Cornell, White Oaks, Right Wind, Fox Chase Sanitary Sewer Payback District.
It's been moved by trustee Wilson. Support. Supported by trustee Lentz. Any further discussion, trustee Lentz?
Yeah, as someone who has friends who are new to Meridian Township because of the age range that I fall into, I know that a lot of folks who move into certain areas sometimes feel that that they don't necessarily have every piece of information about, this home that they're procuring. I'm curious, Dan, is there, I imagine everyone who lives there now is very aware of this payback district as a something that they can be a part of. Is there a plan set in place for future homeowners who move in who might not be completely aware of this opportunity? Go ahead.
So what we could do, I don't know that we've done it in the past, but what we could do very easily is we could go and record the signed resolution and the spreadsheet table and record it on each of the 15 parcels. And when they do title search, when they're purchasing the home, then they should find out. Otherwise, we would simply be relying upon them to call us and the person answering that call to give a fully and complete answer. But I don't believe, there's no assessment attached to the property, so there wouldn't be
An
an
obligation.
assessment to find in this case. So, but we can kind of do a workaround and record the signed resolution on each parcel so that future property owners have the ability to avail themselves to that information.
I think that would be a fantastic idea. I can only imagine what it means to move in, especially of young kids and maybe joining school and all that. So the ability to see this information and, as you said, this probably being a mechanism that we use in the future, I would love to see the township adopt this as a policy moving forward for those who want to, be a part of this community. So thank you. That's my only question.
Any further discussion? Okay, Clerk Demas, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Clerk Demas, yes. Treasurer Burkhart,
Yes.
Trustee Lentz.
Yes.
Trustee Sunland,
Yes.
Trustee Trezise.
Yes.
Supervisor Hendrickson.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. Next up is item 12A, Permanent Dynamic Speed Display Sign Master Plan and Policy. Deputy Manager Ofsmer remains at the podium to hold the floor to tell us more a little bit about that.
Good evening once again, Supervisor Hendrickson and board members. So this is one that Chief Grillo and I have been discussing for some time. Chief Grillo went through the work of securing quotes and specs for these permanent speed display signs from 3 different vendors. Of course, there's a lot of different features that you can use. And perhaps at your next meeting, if you have really detailed questions about all the specifications, Chief Grillo could speak to those. I didn't have a chance to re-review them, but more or less the sign cost that we quote in there was one of the more dynamic products in terms of its use, in terms of like having perhaps red or blue flashing lights, right, when you exceed a certain threshold above the speed limit, things of that nature. It was also a better fabricated product in terms of possible damage being out there in the right-of-way. And it does not come with any software or annual fees in perpetuity, so that was a good thing. It's just a one-time cost of purchase. And then, of course, we would have to replace it if and when it is damaged. So we found a good product that we would like to deploy. And as you all are aware, speeding complaints and pedestrian safety are and is perhaps the most frequent complaint that we receive. We get requests all the time for the temporary speed display signs to be circulated around. So Chief Grillo and I discussed kind of some of the problem areas, and a lot of that is informed by the speed studies that he conducts with the current equipment that we have. And then, of course, on Hewlett Road, we could not fit one of the median islands in between the sharp 15-mile-per-hour curve and the CSX Railroad. So we're proposing a permanent speed display sign, or perhaps two, one in each direction there, as a replacement for the two speed humps that are being lost for traffic calming purposes. The other locations are obviously school zones, or as you enter the township on a steep hill coming down from Bath Township on Marsh Road, and then the 25-mile-per-hour speed zone on Hazlitt Road. Of course, people are often, traveling as if it were 35 miles per hour as the posted speed limit throughout Hazlitt Road until you get to the 45. So those are kind of the four key areas that we've identified. Obviously, there is cost to this. So right now, I'll be candid that our constraint is cost. So we tried to identify the four highest priority areas. And then as a matter of policy to kind of govern this, because we know we're going to get requests, once people see these signs deployed and they don't move, property owners are going to request them. And so, given that we can't afford to deploy them everywhere, and nor would the road department want them, at some point, right, they're going to be deemed an excess in the community. So given that, we thought we would govern this similar to the pathway system and have a designated map that serves as a master plan. That these are where they are authorized currently to be deployed, and people could certainly request that we revisit the master plan. And we can revisit that from time to time, just as we do with any of the various master plans. So in concept, that is what we have brought forth. We do think we have a little bit of available funding in the capital project fund this year to procure the signs, if this is something that the board would like to pursue. And then, of course, we worked with our partners at the road department. The new managing director over there was great to work with. I think he turned around the draft policy that you see in the board packet within 48 hours of us reaching out, which was outstanding. And the Ingham County Road Ad Hoc Committee has already adopted that policy. So we are good to go. And the one thing I would note as well for the county, and to their credit, they exempted the current temporary speed display signs that we circulate around the community from their policy. So their new policy doesn't intend on restricting those in any manner. So that was a very fair and equitable policy for us that they crafted, and we appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Board members, any discussion or questions? Clerk Demas.
Deputy Manager Opsimer, I was curious about how effective these signs would be. I don't know if there's any studies to reference or just data that we have regarding the temporary display signs. Just given the cost, I want to make sure that these are beneficial and effective.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know that the police department has this data, but I know we could procure it. So we can, unless I'm mistaken, with our current signs, we can display speed and record speed at the same time. So we could show you, we put it on the exact same post for 1 week with the sign displayed, or your speed displayed, and this was the 55th, or the 50th percentile speed, the 85th percentile speed, versus when we turn the speed display off, and people don't know that it's there. We might want to put a week or two gap in there, but we might have two data sets that align, but generally speaking, I don't think we do, because when we're recording speed, we never display speed, because we know we're impacting that speed and producing a result that isn't the true speed on that roadway. So I can check and see if we have that, and if not, we can certainly capture that. The question would be, would you want to see that for one or two of the locations? You know, how many locations would you want that, or would one location suffice for that kind of study to quantify the impact that they have?
I would leave it up to other board members to provide their input as well. I'm just looking for anything that would support the benefit of these display signs. I know that they do have a benefit, but just so that we can justify the cost.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I know that, it's capable of doing it. And I also believe that Chief Grillo already has some information. I know that he, at the request of a couple of my neighbors, put one onto Sauer Road and had decent data from a couple of weeks of turned on, turned off recording. So I think it's just a matter of asking him for that. And I think he may have done a very similar thing on Hazlitt Road as well, as a result of a couple of residents asking for those speed signs to be up there too. So I think if Chief Grillo can provide that before the next meeting, that'd be helpful. And if he doesn't, then we can, hopefully do what you're suggesting and go get it, but I'm fairly confident that he already has access to some of that information.
Absolutely, we can do that.
And, sorry, one last question. Do these display signs that we're looking at from the preferred vendor, do they look anything different? Do they look different from the temporary display signs? Okay.
No, there's just a few features where we can have like a flashing white light, or I think flashing red and blue.
Okay.
I looked at 3 different vendors and 3 different specs, and I have them kind of I might be misassociating the various features, but we both concurred that this was the preferred vendor, and that for the amount quoted in your cover memorandum.
Trustee Lentz.
Thank you. And if this question is also, I don't know, that's totally fine. That's for maybe Grow, but looking at the Ingham County, the display policy, number 9 mentions enforcement and data usage. And I am curious if you are able to answer this, Deputy Manager Officer. Excuse me, and it sounds like because there is no ongoing fee attached to these, the answer is going to be no. But is there data that is tracked and shared beyond, the 4 walls of the Meridian Police Department? Does this collect information other than the speed and time of an object moving past those displays? I ask because of the national conversation that I'm sure we've all seen about surveillance cameras and Meridian Township's role in that. I would want to make sure that that's very clear to anyone listening right now.
I believe the answer is no. I know one of them had a camera front facing, but it was more for detecting vandals.
Okay.
And we weren't, I wasn't really moved by that because we haven't had vandalism issues with the existing signs. So to date, that kind of equipment would not have saved us any cost. So I believe there's no camera or recording equipment whatsoever on the signs.
Okay.
But I will confirm that before the next meeting.
Yeah, I would very much appreciate that. I see, applicable privacy and data handling guidelines, what those guidelines are, if it's able to be. I'm not sure if that was with the Ingham County Road Department or maybe another entity, but I'd be curious if the answer is just no, it's just how fast an object moves past.
Yeah.
I think that brings about my biggest concern.
Yeah, I believe it's all just data, right? We
Yeah.
know that a unit passed by, right, at a certain time.
Yeah.
We know how fast that unit was going, but we don't know anything about that unit. It's mostly for looking at the data in aggregate. The 50th percentile and the 85th percentile speed are usually the most informative for us. But it also, we can program it to track, we can set a certain mile per hour above the speed limit and track what percentage of trips exceeded this, right? And typically, depending on the roadway and the speed limit, it's going to be, that threshold's going to be set based on where an officer would actually pull someone over and write a citation on that roadway.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of follow-up questions. So I appreciate the imagery that's been put together here and the placements that are considered for the immediate. I know that I've certainly spoken with a couple of residents on Hazlitt Road who are very concerned about the speed there. I have a couple of follow-ups, which are, the first would be, based on the criteria that you're mentioning in the policy, is it possible to get a map that shows where they could end up at some point based on the 5 criteria that you've presented? That way we could get a sense of where where with funding, we might see these actually pop up. And then the second question is, there are 2 other spots that I know I've heard a fair amount about. The one is the gravel section of Van Atta. I know that folks are very concerned about people blowing down Van Atta and hitting that gravel. And then also on Lake Lansing in the northwestern corner of the township. And so I'd be curious, as we update those maps, are either of those locations going to be included or considered based on the criteria? Because I'm struggling to find a good piece of that criteria that would apply to either of those 2 areas. And I know that those are areas of concern for a lot of folks.
Well, I think for Van Atta, I believe it would be a change in the posted speed limit. Because once you hit a gravel road, it's an unposted 55.
Okay.
And when you're on the paved section, it's whatever the posted speed limit is. Obviously, you're referring to the gravel portion, so you're referring to north of Grand River Avenue, correct?
Yes.
So
Just
the
south,
curve
just
is-
south of Tyhart.
Yeah, basically approaching the S curve.
Yeah.
Just trying to see what the speed.
Oh, yeah. All the more concerning that people are blowing down at 70 miles an hour. It's 35 there?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
35.
35, yeah.
Yeah, so whenever we're transitioning from asphalt to gravel,
Yeah.
unless the speed limit is 55 entering that would apply, so that area would apply. We've always kind of considered the condition of the road, and there is signage warning, right? There's standard roadway signage warning you that it's converting to paved to gravel. And the condition has always been been considered a traffic calming measure with the S curve.
Sure is.
And then, what was the other one, Supervisor?
Lake Lansing and the sort of northwestern area of the township,
Okay.
which might be 1,000 feet from the border, depending on where you're looking.
Correct. 1,000 feet from the city boundary there. I can show you real quick. The challenge will be, in producing a map like you requested, the challenge will be that the posted speed limit changes in a lot of places. We don't technically we have started talking to the road department about sharing whatever GIS data they have, which sounds like it's very limited with us. And we would exchange some of our utility GIS information. But we don't have that data on where the posted speed limit changes, like mapped out. So it would be a lot of work to make a map that is complete in that sense, because we would have to just look at Street View to consult and find speed limit changes. But 1,000 feet would put you almost at Skyline.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right, because that's the corner there.
Yep. Township here,
Right, right.
and this would be the city of East
Township City,
Lansing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that makes perfect sense for what I was wondering about. Yeah, no, thank you very much. This has been very helpful, and I hopefully we see some behavioral change with this, because as we've heard at our listening sessions, the speeding is a top complaint that our residents have, and you know we'll see what this does to help that. Trustee Trezise.
I think we ought to go forward with this, and the cost per sign is reasonable. It's a one-time cost other than some maintenance and electricity, so I think we should look at these places, put them appropriately, and see how much benefit they give us.
And these are solar-powered signs, so what we're going to try to do is pilot solar only and not hardwire, because the cost would be
The wiring.
considerably greater to
Yeah.
hardwire these. The cost would more than double just to bring electrical service to them and set a meter. So we're going to pilot solar. The only location that I'm slightly concerned about is the canopy on Hewlett, but we need to test that condition anyway and see if how effective solar-only powered devices can be in that kind of condition where you have that much canopy.
Sure.
It'll help inform other decisions like RFBs. So it's worth at least trying, and if it doesn't work, we can go back to the drawing board and start working with consumers.
No, they can be moved too.
Great. Any other discussion? And we'll see this next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is item 13, comments from the public. Any members of the public wishing to make comment at this time? Seeing none, public comment is closed at 7:20. Next is other matters and board member comments. Any other matters this evening? All right, then we have a dual motion for closed session. Lucky us. Trustee Trezise.
Move to enter into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268, paren 1, close paren, small d, close paren, to discuss the township's purchase or lease of property, and a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268, paren H, for purpose of discussing a confidential legal opinion regarding the pending Meridian Township versus West Shore Fire Incorporated litigation with the township attorney.
It's been moved by Trustee Trezise. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Wilson. Clerk Demus, will you please call the roll?
Clerk Demus, yes. Treasurer Burkhart,
Yes.
Trustee Lentz,
Yes.
Trustee Sunland,
Yes. Sorry.
Trustee
Got
Trezise,
ahead of
Yes.
myself.
Trustee Wilson,
Yes.
Supervisor Hendrickson.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, we enter closed session. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not in closed session, would you please clear the room? Down the hall to wave at us, or are we? Okay. 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 All right, we will re-enter open session at 8:20 PM. Trustee Trezise.
Yes, I have two motions to make. The first is pertaining to, we entered into closed session to discuss ongoing litigation with Meridian Township versus West Shore Fire. And I move that we authorize council to go forward and accept his recommendation as made in closed session.
Support.
It's been moved by trustee Trezise, supported by trustee Wilson. Clerk Demus, will you please call the roll?
Treasurer Burkhart?
Yes.
Trustee Lentz?
Yes.
Trustee Sunland?
Yes.
Trustee Trezise?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Clerk Demus, yes. Supervisor Hendrickson?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much, trustee Trezise.
Yes, the other issue that we discussed in closed session had to do with the purchase or lease of property. And I propose a motion to authorize the supervisor, or not supervisor, township manager and staff to proceed to discuss further the possible purchase or lease of property as discussed in closed session, up to a certain amount that was discussed and has been approved as a bargaining point.
Support. Do you,
I would ask that we perhaps remove the words "or approved" as a friendly amendment.
You're right.
Since we're not permitted to make any approvals.
And the motion would be to authorize the manager to discuss purchase or lease of property as was discussed in the amounts at closed session.
Thank you. Trustee Wilson, do you also accept that?
yes, I accept that.
Thank you. Clerk Demus, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Lentz?
Yes.
Trustee Sunland?
Yes.
Trustee Trezise?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Clerk Demus, yes. Treasurer Burkhart?
Yes.
Supervisor Hendrickson?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is item 16, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved by trustee Lentz,
Support.
supported by trustee Wilson. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned at 8:22 PM.